And one can see these themes carried forward in Lincoln's famous wartime addresses, the Gettysburg Address, the second inaugural. In the Gettysburg Address, 7 years ago. So he places the founding of the United States 7 years ago. That's 1776, working backwards from the Gettysburg Address. America is founded in a moral order, the Declaration of Independence, not a legal charter, the Constitution. We were born in a moral truth. Our fathers, he says, brought forth on this continent a new nation. Our fathers are not our literal biological fathers. They are our moral fathers. They laid down our fundamental principle. At the end of the Gettysburg Address, he talks about a new birth of freedom. And what he means by that is that the American regime had compromised with slavery. The new birth will be purer, purged of the taint of slavery, but purity will still be measured by the same standards of old, the standards laid forth in the Declaration of Independence. At the end of the Gettysburg Address, he talks about the idea of government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The moral principle of the Declaration is the foundation of this struggle against Southern oligarchy. And what the Gettysburg Address tries to do is to reestablish the relationship between the legal system of the Constitution and the moral principles contained in the Declaration of Independence. And remember, from our last discussion, this is exactly what Calhoun denied, the truth and the guiding power of the principles contained in the Declaration of Independence. Right? The Constitution was made, Lincoln says, for the Declaration of Independence, for that moral principle, the principle of liberty to all, of inalienable natural rights. But the Gettysburg Address only solves half of the problem. It's irrelevant to go back to the laws of nature and nature's God if those laws are in fact false and can't be proven. And so Lincoln later on, in the second inaugural address, in his way, sets out to establish that the laws of nature and nature's God are in fact real, guiding, and governing for us. He says, look at the war. We didn't want this war. Nobody wanted this war. Nobody wanted the kind of war we got. Everybody prayed for something different. And then in the turning point of the speech, he says, the Almighty has his own purposes. Neither human intention nor human prayer dictated the course of events. The meaning of the war is not to be found in human terms. The war, in fact, is a kind of proof that God governs the universe and that we are subject to the rule of God. Now, at the end of the speech, the very famous statement he gives us is, with malice toward none, with charity for all. And we all remember that. That's something we remember from being school children. But then, immediately after that, he says something that we tend to forget. With firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right. That is to say, God has enabled us to see a portion of his law. Right? He's enabled us to see enough to know that slavery is wrong and that the evil of the slavery is the cause of the war. And even, Lincoln says, to understand the war as a kind of divine judgment on the nation as a whole, North and South, for the collective sin of slavery. Right? Now, just because we're willing to say that slavery is wrong and the cause of the war, right, and that both sides are punished, he's not being relativistic. Right? We know that slavery is wrong. And we know that slavery is constituted in the South. Right? And he makes a powerful argument for slavery being unjust in the eyes of God. He says, it may seem strange that any men should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of other men's faces, which is a reference to God's judgment against Adam in chapter 3 of Genesis. So we can know that slavery is wrong. And if we know that slavery is wrong, and we have an opportunity to get rid of it, we better do it with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. In other words, the Civil War shows us, among other things, that God rules the world and that we can know a portion of the law by which he rules that world. The portion that we call, going all the way back to our founding, the laws of nature and nature's God. And this, for Lincoln, and for the Republicans during the Reconstruction period, was to be the basis of the reestablishment of the country, the reconciliation of the country, the making it whole again, to bring us back to that original founding principle. And for a while, he succeeded.